Sit back, relax, and keep your eyes to the skies.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S4, where we talk about the serious issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains, here in our studio in Cape Horn. Yes, the show barely went on because we just got our power back. Well, headquarters got our power back last night. The studio got power back Friday. But you know what? The show must go on, right? It does. Well, so we had what's called an atmospheric river.
To a point.
We will never see again. What?
The show has to go on to a point. If we're like total Mad Max here, I'm not doing this, guys. Sorry. You're on your own.
We'll do a remote. We'll go, oh my God, we're getting shot at. Oh, everyone dodge. Yeah, anyway. But yes, we had 60-mile-an-hour winds with heavy rain that came through and wiped out the entire power grid for, well, most of Washington State, I think.
330,000 people were out without power.
Yeah. And it wiped out our trees.
Well, and that only includes PSE. We also have PUD that is kind of mixed in there. Yeah, Seattle City Light, and they had their own problems.
Yeah, buddy.
And, so we still don't have internet at the house. We have internet here, obviously. But I'm telling you, folks, running your internet on a hotspot on your cell phone really does suck. So tonight, it's January Roundtable. We are 17 days into 2021. What do we think of it so far? So we have our full panel, Joe, the master of pointy sticks, and our geologist, Barry, Mufon, Kentucky, founder of Night Stalkers Paranormal and Into the Fire Radio, Ed Hubbard, founder of Wit School, and Arnold Hampton, our Washington State Park Ranger extraordinary and experiencer of weirdness in our state parks. How are we all doing tonight?
That was a mouthful.
It was.
Yeah, well done.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. 4 days of no power and nothing but wood heat and kids watching reruns of movies over and over and over and over again. It just kind of makes you go crazy. But, yeah, we're here.
Mm-hmm. No power, no TV, make Eric something.
It's amazing how politics completely vanishes when your entire community is focused on survival.
Oh,
Yes.
sure.
It really
Sure
is.
did.
Exactly.
It really is. And you're hearing about people that didn't get a generator that probably should have had one. Ourselves included, because we're set up for a 24-hour power outage, not a 4 to 5 day one. So we actually had to go out and rent a 7K, which, oh my God, I'm sold on 7K generators. I'm getting one or two.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I'm down in Florida here, and almost nothing hit the news about how bad it was in Washington, except I'm a weather junkie, I'm an information junkie. But if you weren't on the weather channels, if you wouldn't do a little CNN, you would not have known Washington was in trouble.
No, not at all. I haven't heard anything about Washington anywhere.
I honestly got to say,
connections with you guys and other people in Washington. But I'm telling you, on mainstream media, you guys were invisible.
Yeah, well, I get all my information from Forest Moon Paranormal on Facebook.
Right?
But it's honestly because we see this once a year.
Yeah.
Like, this is not an abnormal thing, honestly, for us. We do get one bad storm that takes out every tree in the area.
Yeah.
And this one is just one. The difference between this one and the other ones, this one's not going to lose strength for quite a while. So it hit us, and now it has moved on to Alberta and Saskatchewan up in Canada.
With 100-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gaining.
So they're all hunkering down
Are
at
they going
home.
to bring back the winter vortex?
Oh, jeez.
that would be wonderful, wouldn't it?
Remember that?
You know what? I saw something about that supposedly some meteorologists are like saying that is going to happen. That is something.
Oh, wonderful!
Yay.
Throw in the red tide for summer.
Well, I'm
They're
just
also
saying.
talking about there's actually going to be a split of the vortex. They're now worried that the vortex might split into two, and they said that would cause a real big problem as well. Yeah,
It's only a
we're
problem
in
if
for
you
some
make it a
interesting
problem.
weather tides.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
I wonder
only a
why.
problem if you make it a problem. You buy a couple snowmobiles, a bottle of freaking whiskey, and you're good to go. Who cares about weather?
Oh, I like the way you think.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So, yeah.
Might be a problem when your snowmobiles fly right out of the backyard and into the neighbors, though. Just
As
saying.
long as you're on them, it's not a problem at all.
Right? Nope, you just hit the gas and you turn the bars.
I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an interesting 4 days.
Yep, all kinds of fun here.
And so we knew there was a storm coming. That's running the community group. I had posted there is wind coming, there is rain coming, but nobody projected 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Sustained winds, too. I mean, I can deal with a 60-mile-per-hour gust. Cool. But sustained winds for over an hour of 60 miles per hour? That was insane.
If it would have been gusty, it would have been worse.
I'm just saying, I went to bed about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. As soon as our power went out, because I watched the power grids going down in other areas about 11 o'clock that night. So I was maintaining the group. But I was in bed for 10 minutes, and there were loud bangs. That was there were loud bangs on the roof. We started getting worried about trees falling on the house. So we actually left and went to the other back room where the stove was, because the power was out by this point. But no, we heard trees crashing outside all around, because we have nothing but woods behind the house. Mm-hmm. Living up against the mountain.
Yeah.
And, the forest is so thick back there, you still really can't see which trees fell.
I do have to say, though, I got to give it up to the linemen, because, about half an hour, 45 minutes after the storm had pretty much subsided, there were a good 20, 30 trucks up this way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, Roundtable. Joe, what's your first question tonight? I always like Joe's questions.
I was wondering if spirits or demons are attracted to hot cheese. That's kind of an inside joke.
Ask Barry.
There are a lot of ancient stories from Mesopotamia and the Inca and the Aztec, and they all mentioned beings like the Anunnaki. Okay? Mm-hmm. And back then, all the aliens' messages were that they wanted gold. How come today's aliens aren't telling people that?
Because gold went down in price across the universe. Not just on Earth.
Oh, God.
The Galactic Federation has put a limit on the amount of gold you can take from Earth.
Okay, I don't
Do you have it all, or?
Oh. No, I don't know. That's a good question, though.
I gotta be honest, Okay, what?
Fort Knox is empty.
I can offer. So one asteroid, we know there's one asteroid going to the Earth we're going to hit, KV 72 something, and it has more gold than is on the entire planet Earth.
Exactly.
I mean, so there's these asteroids that are going around completely safe for any sort of advanced civilization to grab. Why would they need to go to Earth? The gold of the Earth was always the psychic energy. That's what most people don't understand about the Anunnaki. They weren't just taking gold; they were taking physical gold, but they were also taking out the energy the mental state. The
So
penal
the whole
gland.
gold thing was just to screw with us.
The gold,
It had to
gold
be.
thing
I
was
mean-
just an excuse. I mean, it was for DNA and other thing else. I mean, we are rich in DNA. That's what this planet had at the time, you know. And,
So can
whatever else they did.
we sue them for breach of contract because they didn't come here for gold? They came here for us.
You go ahead and get a lawyer that'll do that.
Okay. But there's another aspect to that. Mm-hmm. Can we all agree that in some way aliens are technologically advanced?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so when the cell phone first came out, and they actually made it a handheld device, not a bag, it required a certain amount of gold in order to run well.
Mm-hmm.
The more gold that your phone had, the better the cell phone was.
Yeah.
Right.
So, is it not possible that at that point in time, the alien race that was visiting and asking for gold had some kind of technology that needed a large amount of gold, and
they've moved
they knew
on.
we had it?
Now they've moved on past that.
Yeah, it's no longer
Yeah,
needed.
that's perfect. The aliens had just invented the phone.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
You know,
And
I would.
probably planetary gold is easier than get to asteroid gold, which you're in real trouble.
Yeah.
Well, I would also put it
don't
into.
Don't you think that maybe because they come down and they said that to all these ancient species or us, that's why for thousands and thousands of years every civilization across the planet has coveted gold? Because, you know,
Well,
until the electronics came around, there was really no use for it other than it was real shiny and pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And worth a lot.
It's definitely a competitive gold. Absolutely good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, see, the other thing that I would look at too is we did this in human civilization as well. The second we figured out that there was gold in one area, everybody moved to that area and tried to get it.
Look at the gold
They
rush.
tried to get their hands on it. They tried to get it. Okay, yeah, there was gold everywhere around them. They had gold in different areas of the country, but everybody knew about this one. So everybody rushed to that one.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that this was just like an alien gold rush? They were like, oh, we heard that it was here, so let's go and get it while we can.
Possible.
So the need for the gold.
The aliens are not all knowing, because I don't think there's any reports of the aliens coming to California and getting gold, and we got a buttload of it.
Right.
And gold could be a euphemism for super rare elements that they wouldn't have understood.
Right.
There's a lot of components inside gold that ride alongside gold in iron mining that have nothing to do with it, but have these really powerful rare elements. You know, they could be going after lithium, and it would still be, oh, we're after the gold.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, get us the shiny stuff.
get us the shiny stuff. It could have been just after anything that looked like gold. Rare elements, too. And that makes even more sense to me. They could have been rare elements.
Yep.
So Barry, with the abductees you talked to, is there still an element of gold they're being told about that's needed? Because I would have to say, with advancements of technology, they'll find other elements besides gold to make up for their technology.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So gold might not be.
You're 100% right, Eric. 100% right. We're not hearing about gold and everything else. What we hear more about is the cloning efforts, the harvesting of DNA, and all of that. And that's where, you know, as I say today, we are rich in that resource.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is what their number one goal is, you know, from what we can tell. And as whatever is going to happen happens, I think we're going to see a lot more of it, because we're talking about more and more about alien races. Who knows what's coming out? I've been watching a lot of these people talking about what's going on in the next few days, and they're all bringing in that alien factor, and they're all going into that end. And whatever is released will be quite interesting to see. You know, one of the strangest things that I saw, and it kind of goes into one of my questions, and I'm just going to throw it out there. But did anybody see the article that went around from Facebook on the smuggling of a train that they got into out of South America, and some of the things that were Inca and Peru and all that stuff. Did anybody see that?
No.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh my gosh! It's crazy stuff, and the pictures that they took of these beings are definitely alien-looking things. It was up for just a little bit. I'll try to find it and I'll send it to you so you guys can all see it. But it was insane. And one of the things that these are rare pieces that were stolen from different cultures, but they have people laying on, there's a person laying on a table. Of course, there's a Mayan or Inca or Aztec person stabbing someone in the heart, but next to them are several large head beings that are like green jade standing around this table also, and kind of looks kind of like what an abductee would kind of go through. And they're all kind of E.T. They all have very large eyes. Just incredible stuff. And then there's a plaque kind of like that is got UFOs in it, aliens beaming down like a reptoid looking being, large head beings laying over other people. And it's really strange. I'll see if I can look at it, see it, because I wanted your guys' thought on it, because wow, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it's really.
So was this a
amazing
train that they were smuggling antiquities that got caught, and that was all the stuff that was in it?
Yes, exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, send me a link to that.
Yeah, I will. And then I've also seen different stuff on lately coming out of Egypt. Did anybody watch any of that stuff that's coming out of Egypt and what they're saying is underneath the Sphinx now?
It's kind of
All
hard
these
to watch.
ruins and everything.
The library under the Sphinx.
Right. 1,500 rooms and tunnels that go into all the way to Memphis over there.
They thought they found the second Sphinx, right?
Right, exactly.
They think they found the second Sphinx, right?
Exactly. Yeah. This is all the stuff that, because of all the stuff the news doesn't carry, we never get to see. So, if you're in the paranormal world and dealing with the aliens, the UFOs, the ghosts, the strange creatures, and all that stuff, this is the kind of stuff that makes the news and forces you to think about this other stuff, And the last part is the CIA releasing all these UFO documents right before this stuff.
Yeah, and that link is that article is actually posted in FMP.
Yeah, it's creepy.
But honestly, Black Vault has been around since the 90s. So for those that aren't familiar with Black Vault, go check out blackvault.com. And I believe his name is Keith Greenwald.
Yes, Greenwald, yes.
I like to get him on the show, but because he, when I first got into the UFO alien field back in the early '90s, he was around then, trying to sue for Freedom of Information Act and posting those documents.
Yeah.
But and it's funny. I like to see what their timeline is and why do they have this timeline? What's coming up that we don't know about, that all of a sudden, last year they came up with the Pentagon going, yep, we've got an alien craft, and now all of a sudden they're releasing all these documents. Why now? It just, not trying to sound all paranoid here, but what's going on?
Right. It's very, very strange. So.
This is something that they predicted back in 2017 that, disclosure's coming. Well, now they're not even screaming for disclosure because it's just kind of happening.
Disclosure, Space
Well,
Force,
now-
and private industry in space.
Uh-huh.
It's great. It's great.
Good times. Good times.
Right?
And what did they do with that $22 million that the Senate committee gave to Bigelow?
I took it.
Thief.
22 million is nothing.
No, that's a drop in the bucket. It still makes you wonder what it was used for.
He got
Yeah,
himself
Bigelow.
a private jet to Mars. It's cool.
Where did
If you guys look in your chat
There it
on Skype chat, I think I just sent you the link to that.
Okay, cool.
I don't have access to Skype chat. John Greenwald, thank you, PBR. Yeah, it's not Keith, it's John Greenwald. Like to get him on the show.
Yeah.
And I need to throw this out real quick because I know we have some new listeners that are finding S4. If you want to jump into the chat room, you can go on Spreaker, and you'll see a little chat bubble. If you click on that chat bubble under the live show, it'll pull you into the chat room. Not everyone,
But it won't let you out.
Huh? Not everyone likes chat rooms. Though,
Joe, I
so
just sent the picture to
that's
you through Messenger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should be the whole link.
Just came in.
I'm going to send it to.
All right.
Oh,
And research team, look this up for me, would you guys? I have a research team. It's not working with me. So S4's done a lot for me so I have a lot of people who have joined me for researching. They are ready to do my internet research ready for you guys. Because I've been doing a lot of research on this stuff because you guys have really changed my outlook in the last couple of months on this.
we're good at that.
Hey, Barry.
Yeah.
Okay, so the person kneeling and the really small person in the back on the left-hand side, does that not look like some probing's going on? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Oh.
What I'm telling you is that you look at all
That looks like probing.
look at all those pictures. You're gonna
Joe,
go,
put down the pointy stick.
And so for those in the chat room, I'm also posting the link in the chat room.
Oh.
yeah.
Well, there's some more probing.
Come on, they've been probing since the beginning of humankind, guaranteed.
What Adam and Eve did on their own is their own business.
Right.
Literally, because no one else was there.
No. Now, getting back to the Anunnaki, so back when the Anunnaki first came to Earth, and I have my own beliefs with the Anunnaki, but if you go by the ancient beings that came down from the sky, as seen from above, to this planet, again, gold probably was needed. If you look at the technology back then, they needed gold. Mm-hmm. Do they need gold today?
I do.
I do too, but
We're not the Anunnaki.
probably not so much for technology. They have, think of element 114 that Lazar brought up that they were using for propulsion.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you look...
There's elements on this planet. I was watching a video tonight because all I could do was watch my own downloaded videos because I didn't have internet. But you've got these physics from MIT, you've got these skeptics from MIT, and they're all babbling about there's no evidence that no aliens have ever been here. There's no evidence of any UFOs. And I'm like, really? Seriously, you haven't talked to them, Ducky, probably ever. But wasn't these...
Those guys in the university setting, they can't come out with any what they call fringe ideas or agree with anything because they survive on grant money. And if you come out as a fringe person, you're not going to get any grant money, and they don't do their research.
What about
Absolutely.
the scientists?
Not the money.
Absolutely.
But no, you know what? I could only...
That's like why pilots would never say anything about seeing UFOs because they wanted to keep their jobs.
I can only agree with that to a certain extent. Look at David Jacobs. David Jacobs was a Harvard historic professor, and is probably one of the most well-renowned hypnotherapists for abductees today, and has been since the 90s. And yeah, he caught a lot of flack for what he did, but he survived.
Yeah.
That's one.
What about the university scientists that came out just a few years ago talking about Momoa being an alien solar
Alien craft.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He had no problem coming out.
Or an AI.
Yeah, he had no problem coming out saying it's not ours. So I hear you, Joe, and I agree with you, but the bullshit only goes so far to me. When you've got 11 billion people seeing craft in the sky around the planet, you got people being probed. No.
Watch people of Walmart. Okay? They are among us, people.
Oh, God.
Well, yeah, but like I said, you've only got 2 scientists that came out and really put their shit on the line. Maybe a couple of more here and there, but the vast majority of them, they're not going to put their necks on the line, even if they believe it or not.
Because that is a fireable
You
offense.
watch, if there ever is disclosure, these guys are going to be coming out of the woods saying, yep, I knew it 20 years ago, but they never said anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's why they wait until they're retired to say something.
It's still annoying.
And the problem with that, though, is then they
lose the credibility for everything they've done up to that point.
They're
right. And a lot of them don't even do it because I have been invited to deathbed confessions, and even when you are there and they want to tell you what they know, I've had them actually change their mind and go, you just can't deal with it. It's too much to deal with. You can't handle it.
Yeah.
You can't handle the truth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. You can't handle the truth.
Either that or they're scared of the backlash on their family for years to come after.
Right, exactly. And, Joe's right. At one point back in a while ago, if you were a pilot and you saw a UFO, you did not report it. Because,
No.
Your job, everything else was on the line. It's still at the time, and then the FAA at one point in 2011, I believe, came out with the thing where you had to report to, they weren't taking the reports, they were giving all the reports to Bigelow itself.
Yeah.
And there's documents on that where all the pilots, if you had a sighting, you were to turn it over to Bigelow, and he would take all the documentation and everything else. Whatever happened to that documentation, I don't know. So, but today, when we're sitting today, we're hearing all kinds. There are so much stuff being thrown around. If you've ever listened to the things that are going on, the paranormal, the aliens are mentioned in a lot of it because taking over other beings that are not there, doing this, physical changes. Who knows what's going to come out next in the next few months here in 2021. So it's going to be a wealth of information. I think it's going to shock so many people because, and I'm going to have to look for something else to do because now I won't be a conspiracy theory. I'll be somebody else. Cause
mainstream.
So Barry, do you want to go on record and say 2021 is going to be the year of disclosure?
Oh, whoa.
Hey, well, you know what I will say. If the things that I am seeing and that I have been watching and talking about, there is definitely an alien connection, especially when you start talking about Space Force also. And I think that there will be a pretty heavy flood about some things happening with ET and some of the things that are being kept from us. And now we got to go through all the other stuff. I mean, all of the false dossiers, all the other things. But I think somewhere in there is going to be some knowledge lifted on it. So,
Well, you know, in the world of science, everybody was considered insane until their theories were proven. So, I mean, at some point, an alien race is going to have to come down here, straight up show up in front of everybody and say, hey, we're here, or they're going to still be considered insane.
No, they'll be called a demon.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Right, exactly. I mean, back a long time ago, I used to tell everybody, I'm crazy, but it keeps me from growing insane.
Right.
You know. But
Yeah, we're not going to have disclosure until the aliens make themselves known.
Yeah, until they're down here and they're like, hey, buddy, I'm moving in next door. And you go, oh, God.
Hey, my neighbor's got blue skin.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
well, you know, the interesting thing about this whole thing is when you look at some of the things that are going on today, and you're hearing about the deep, dark state and everything else. Well, what have we known for a long time about the Draco, the Vril, some of the other alien races that are together in this? What are they are supposed to support? You know, and if you come out with a secret coven and you look at the secret coven and everything else, it says, well, look, if it ever comes out and they do find out that what we have done to them in the last, there'll be no place for us to hide. There'll be no place. And it's all about blood. It's all about the sacred ordeal. And, you know, we're hearing more and more about cloning, you know, the black goo, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it's interesting because it all falls into the same line.
Oh, there's
Are aliens among us, and are they in offices that we don't know this, so may have been taken over, and they're actually working in that way. I know that sounds crazy, but we may hear that.
Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of evidence out there. You just got to read between the lines of what's actually being said. You know?
Well, that's true.
So Von Daniken released Chariots of the Gods 1 year before we landed on the moon. And he caught more crap for that book. You know, but that really started the UFO craze and the thought process of humans that, oh my God, aliens are really gods, or gods were really aliens, or and go ahead.
I would say he didn't really start the craze, but he shifted the paradigm to what was possible.
Well, he threw fuel on the fire.
He opened up a lot of people's eyes, and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
the whole thing about Von Daniken's book, he never said aliens showed up, aliens were gods, aliens did this. He always said, what if? Or is it possible?
Right.
He just got people thinking about it.
Well,
Yeah, he did. And then, you know, and when they came out with the movie afterwards, and I think that was in the 70s sometime, early 70s, 73, 74, 75, somewhere.
I still need to find that movie.
Oh, man, I was like, that was the first, I was standing in line. I was like going, I got to see this, got to see the movie. And it's pretty crazy. And it did make you think a lot about that kind of stuff. And, you know, it opened a lot of people's eyes and ears to it. And the stuff that we just are looking, that I sent you, and now the chat room has, or whoever has it, to be able to look at. Man, tell me that don't look alien.
yeah, but if you think about it, a lot of Van Daniken stuff came from Russian cosmism in the first place. So, I mean, the idea has been out there since pretty much the beginning of time. We heard that with the Anunnaki and everything else. It's just bringing it to the mainstream and trying to figure out whether or not it's somebody's fictitious story or reality. You know?
Since the beginning of time, really.
Since the beginning of time.
Two bacteria sitting there.
Yeah.
You think aliens are real? Really?
Hey, for reals.
Amoeba. Here we are.
Oh, God.
Primordial soup, guys. Primordial soup.
So I'm going to throw my question out there because, I got pretty pissed off last week. Over the case that I sent you, Barry.
Yeah.
So, the emergency response side of FMP will always linger with us. So I still get tagged on the emergency situations in other groups. And so I went to it. And why do people join paranormal groups if they themselves don't believe in the paranormal? Only to ridicule, belittle, and laugh at people that are asking for help.
Some people just have to troll.
Answered your question.
Exactly.
Only to ridicule.
That's true.
That's why.
It
I'll give you
really pisses me off.
I'll give you a
It's-
darker reason. A little darker reason. One of the things I learned is we especially suffer that from the witch community, people who
Right.
come in and everything else, because they think they're taking away your energy and their psychology by coming into your space. It's like the Indians who didn't kill but took coup, grabbed an item from the foreign camp. It's the same mentality. It's the same sort of energy. It's kind of warped, and negative energies, negative beings feed on that. I mean,
Right.
negative influences feed upon that. And it's a thrill. I mean, it's a real adrenaline rush for the entity that's being parasited on. So they come in to get that adrenaline rush to feed their parasite. I've seen it over and over again.
It just, and I even posted a comment once I had already made contact with the guy and sent him over to Barry. But, I addressed that in that group that, we don't play this crap in FMP. When it happens, those people get removed. If you're only here to belittle an abductee or someone that's experiencing a spirit, or even someone that's terrified of Bigfoot or Dogman, whatever the case is, if your only purpose is to make fun of people, you're gone.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here for just a second. And I'm gonna say though that there are some people that have experiences and they're trying to figure out what it is and trying to figure out, but at the same time they're gonna ridicule and they're gonna belittle different ideas and different thought processes because they can't process what happened to them in their own minds yet.
So I get that, but that wasn't the case with the other ones.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there is that grouping too, though, that there's. They want to say that they don't believe, but they have so much evidence that they can't really say that they don't believe, so they're going to belittle the people that do. There's that small process of people that have that too.
Well, I'm going to be that guy and just say, you know what, we're like sitting here looking for answers of why they do it. It really doesn't fucking matter.
No.
Yeah.
People suck.
Yeah.
That is why. That's it. That is the final answer. We all do it in some form.
What was cool was the admins of that particular group did catch wind of it, and they handled it.
We all suck.
Right.
Everybody.
We don't.
Yeah, we do.
No, we don't.
People, for the most part, are out for themselves, and they're out for what they can do for themselves and how they can make themselves feel better about whatever situation it is. So most people do suck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen groups that, or a group post that someone legitimately started and was looking for answers, and then the next thing you know, paranormal groups start heading up there, and the other people start hitting it, and all of a sudden their page becomes nothing but advertisement for that team or their videos or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And it just takes over a site, and it's a shame because these people really originally started out saying, hey, look, I'm having this problem.
Right.
We have one here in Kentucky, and I can't believe that the paranormal people that found this guy, and he is looking for answers, and he's one of our cases. And one of the things about it is that he posted it beforehand, and now it's turned into just a a madness, and he sent me a thing to become an admin on it, and I said I would love. I haven't even replied to it. I'm trying to get a hold of him personally because if you don't, if you want me to be an admin, half of these people are going to be gone because it doesn't do anything for your group, and it's not doing anything for that. It's just a place for them to advertise.
Exactly. I've noticed that on a lot of sites. In fact, it even happens on your Forest Moon. Mm-hmm. A lot of it is good information and people talking or asking about a situation, but there have been days where it's just ad after ad after ad after ad for some other paranormal group or a podcast.
To answer that, Joe, that's Monday Share Day.
Yeah. Just Mondays, okay.
And yes, you'll see that on Mondays. We decline any other ads any other day, but yeah, most groups out there have Monday Share Day, and that's the one day of the week that everybody can post.
That's obviously the problem because I only go on the internet on Monday.
Right? Yeah.
So yeah,
we see it at a lot of them, and it's not Monday Share Day for a lot of it. And, it's kind of strange. I will do the. Go ahead.
But I can back him up because as a person who's been coming into it, because you guys opened my eyes, and I've been talking about that. I will tell you, I get a lot of junk. I get a lot when I'm trying to find the paranormal groups. I've been going through them, looking at them, and there's a lot of junk out there. There's a lot of false information.
Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And and I get flooded with it. So I would say half of what I'm being fed from the algorithms is the ones who are spending money, just kind of sell me a ghost meter. I mean, they try to sell me a ghost meter. Not the name of the equipment, a ghost meter for $175, which is a $34.95 electronic meter. You know what I'm saying? They do it. So, and over again, I was offered how to become a full paranormal system for $1,700. All the equipment I needed, everything, and how to be a star. Mm-hmm. That's the ad I've gotten through Facebook.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
And you know what's stupid? What they call a ghost meter is a basic EMF meter.
Yeah.
So what a basic EMF meter, a carpenter and electrician uses, and you can get a basic EMF meter at
Home Depot
and Harbor Freight for $20
or less. Yeah.
Right.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
You want to get a better one.
Well, no, but you want to buy one that is specifically for EMF, because the ones you buy at Harbor Freight or from Home Depot or Lowe's are not just EMF usually, because they try and include as many tools as they can in one. Mm-hmm. So you're going to get a bunch of extra crap that you don't want.
The point is, you can get a basic you can get a basic EMF meter for $20.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which will tell you the exact same thing they're trying to sell you for $70, and simply changing the label of ghost meter. Yeah, no.
Yes,
exactly. It's an EMF meter.
Stickers on it.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is I actually found one for $34.95.
Yeah.
They were selling for $175, and the difference was they put stickers all over.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys have just given me a great financial idea. I never thought of selling pointy sticks on the internet.
Right.
If I do sell pointy sticks on the internet, they're going to be ghost detecting sticks.
Actually,
there you go.
Joe, you know what?
Housing rods.
I honestly think if you sold pointy sticks, you'd make money.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
You have a brand right there.
You could call them Joe's Pointy Sticks.
Yeah.
Come on down to Joe's Pointy Stick Shack. Woo!
Someone made a fortune selling pet rocks. Why not?
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't charge less than $50. $50 for a pointy stick. People pay for it.
Oh, yeah.
$39.95, not including shipping.
There you go. Oh.
But there is a handling charge. But wait, that's not all.
You can get your bubbly headed Jesus for your dashboard too.
Here's away, demons.
Right? All right. Ed, what's your first question tonight?
I'm very interested in this. So I've been looking at the 2 million documentation. So all this documentation. Saw the FM radio transmission from supposedly one of the Jupiter moons.
Yes.
So, right. But
Yep.
did not Eisenhower warn us that at some point, when everything else has failed, they're going to use an alien invasion to convince us to continue control? And I'm wondering, is this that campaign that Eisenhower talked about, or are we really seeing something? I'm running between those two things that are driving me crazy in my mind and trying to figure out which one's real.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. They've already been training us for the alien invasion, and when it happens, they'll tell us to stay home and wear masks so we don't catch the alien bug.
Right. Remember back in the
Comply.
project.
Joe, go get your toilet paper now.
So
It wipes out Klingons. I'm sorry.
I have been going over and over this in my head for about a week.
What's up?
I think it's important. Back when Greer first came out with the press club release of the disclosure in 2003, and he brought all these people together: Clifford Stone, the head of FFA, Carolyn Roslin, several other people, all got up and were talking about aliens and talking about what they knew and what was hidden with the Disclosure Project. And I remember Carolyn Roslin, who was tutored and mentored underneath, who was the father of rocketry? Oh, I can't think of his name. I'll be danged.
Goddard?
No. German who came here.
Parsons. Jack
Nope.
Parsons?
Nope. Golly, why can't I think of his name? If somebody in the chat room knows, please let me know. But he was involved with the nuclear bomb, rocketry, everything else.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name either, though. But
Yeah, I can't. Walter von Braun.
Yes.
Walter von Braun. And
Yep.
he was telling me that there was going to be 4 major false flags, and the 5th false flag, and I remember her standing up on the thing. The 5th false flag is the alien invasion. And that's what Walter von Braun was telling her at that time, and sunk that into her head. And that was in 2003 at the Washington, D.C. Press Club when they released it. And you can still go back and find the disclosure.
oh yeah, it's over YouTube.
Yeah,
You can find those videos on YouTube still.
right. And it's Carolyn Roslin, and she's talking about it. And there is all kinds of different types of false flags, and we have become a country that has just been eaten up with false flags. Everything's a false flag. We've become so docile and so controlled by media sources, major media companies, and everything else. So we're just socially conditioned to believe whatever the hell they want to tell you.
And that was
A lot of people think there was a false flag just the other day.
Yes, exactly, and there probably was.
Yeah.
And there, I believe 2003. So that was before Greer started his wonderful alien cult. How come? How come? That was a great idea he had. Not the cult, but the Disclosure Project. How come that didn't go anywhere? He could have progressed on that and done great. Instead,
I
he
think
went.
It was in 2000. Yeah, in 2012, they did the Disclosure Project. That kind of took off with that with Congress, and you have Congress. They took retired congressmen, and they actually had a debate like it would be held in the Senate or in the House of Representatives, where they were asking questions and talking to different people, and that was in 2012. And I think it was 2012. I may be wrong on that, but very interesting. You can catch that on the internet, YouTube, and everything else also. But it went on for several days, and they were throwing out all the evidence for that. And so basically, what we're seeing in 2021, when Congress is saying, okay, you've got to put all these reports together for us, and you're supposed to have them by March, all this is going to, we're going to see a lot of that stuff coming forward.
I don't think it's anything.
Now,
that's
whether
gonna
it's a
come out.
lie or not, who knows? I mean, there is stuff that they could release, but they're not going to tell you that, yes, we've had free energy and we've had Tesla stuff and we've been doing that forever. We have a Space Force that's flying around. I think that is one of the things that you'll know, that we do have things in space. And we are traveling to different planets, and we are engaged with different sources of ETs and have been since 1954.
Older than that. Oh,
right.
You know,
older
I've
than
got
that,
this.
but legitimately,
I've got this itch. I've got this itch at the back of my memory right now that you just started when you were talking about the disclosure project meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wasn't there one? I seem to remember there was one. It had all the top UFO people. It had congressmen. It had
yep, that's the one.
Astronauts and Air Force people, and it was on September 10th, 2001. It was the day before the Twin Towers happened, and no one really heard anything about that again. It seems to me it was at the National
It was a National Press Corps, but I don't believe it was. I'd have to look it up again.
I think it was that.
Yeah, but they did have their first big thing where they got everybody together, and it was supposed to be the big bombshell, but then there was a bombshell the next day that kind of took everything out of play.
Right. Well, there were several bombshells on that because that was the day that December 10th was also the day that Rumsfeld, 2001 December 10th is the day that Rumsfeld said that we have $3 trillion missing.
Yeah.
And that was a head turner because you never heard anything after that.
No.
So where did $3 trillion go?
Rumsfeld's pocket.
All I know is that we, as citizens, pay for that stuff.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, so the Disclosure Project, though, it was 4 months before the 9/11 attacks. It happened in May of 2021.
So maybe the one Joe's talking about was supposed to happen, but didn't.
Huh?
2001.
2001.
Yeah, that's possible.
Jesus.
It didn't mean there was one that's supposed to happen like right then and just fizzled.
Yeah, and it should have picked up, but it never did.
Yeah.
And then Greer went off on his wonderful alien cult plan, and he was kind of the founder and the leader of the Disclosure Project at that point. So it just fizzled. Mm-hmm. It'd be nice to see that picked up because that was some great information that came out.
That was some fantastic information that came out. Clifford Stone talking about the recovery of the craps, and also when he starts talking about the 50 different alien species.
Linda Moulton Howe was there. I believe Dr. David Jacobs was there. All the frontliners in the UFO community were there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Including government
officials.
Government officials.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but again, that just fizzled out after 9/11. And I guess understandably so, but because Greer was the headliner of that, and he went his own direction, it never got picked up.
Well, they kind of picked it up again in 2017 with this like half-ass meeting thing, and then it just again fizzled out to nothingness. Yeah, because they were like, let's talk about this some more, and we'll get back.
That was Bigelow Industries.
So,
and we all know where that went.
Yeah, but it's always let's talk about it some more and get back to you. Mm-hmm. We don't want to scare the general pop here,
Right.
And go ahead.
And I have a follow-up on that. So one of the things I've been discovering is another version of this, and that is the idea that aliens are here, but they are possessive spirits. And they've been taking people over, and that's how they take, like, vacations and how they affect us. They're not really here in physicality, but in some of the New Age and channeling, I believe a lot of aliens are here as sort of walk-ins. And I was curious on that aspect. Are there technologies that advanced that they would just use that type of technology, or is that something completely different?
So there are.
It's actually a great question, Ed. It
depends on the race, because there are some that are called walk-ins, And that's actually been a phenomenon since about the 2000s, I believe. And something new in the last 2-3 years was actually astral abduction. And that was fairly new. I believe there's two things happening. One could be a new race that's coming in that has that technology to do that. And the other is it's the same old race that, again, has new technology to be able to come in and astrally take you. It's something we'll have to look into deeper to figure it out. But no, great question.
Let me.
But,
Well, it's wildfire right now in the light workers communities. They're preparing. Some of their members are telling their people right now to prepare to allow for these aliens to come in. They're actually preparing like hundreds of people, maybe thousands, to start accepting these entities here in 2021.
Be careful what you wish for.
Stellarium in February 11th.
And you know that's from the Greer C5 stuff where you go out and you're communicating with them and everything else. And look, there are things out there that you do not want to let into your vessel. And there are things out there that are also, when you start talking about what abductees see, what other things do, when you start talking about seeing humans in tubes or other things being generated in tubes, and when I've heard that several times, and it is not a pleasant thing to think about.
No.
You don't want another entity walking in and pushing you to the back and controlling you in that way. And there are things that are walking around here there are shape-shifting aliens. There are aliens that can come into your spirit. They are interdimensional beings. So they do have that ability to be able to, if you will, possess and so forth. And that reminds me, Eric, I need to talk to you guys about something else that I've got sitting on my desk that I would love to take deeper, that we need to help an individual with, and I'll send you some stuff on that also.
Okay.
All right.
So with that, we are at our first break. And
Well,
we'll
that
come
was
back.
a quick hour.
It was. It always is. During the roundtable, always goes quick. So Arnold, you're up when we come back from the break.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
with your host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S4. Oh, it's been a crazy week. We're still recovering here. And it's January Roundtable. The first month of an exciting year. Because, I can't wait to get in the mountains and look for Bigfoot. And, aliens too. But not so much aliens. Aliens we just shoot.
What? I'm
anyway.
not have to shoot an alien. Come on.
Quit standing up for your people.
I don't like
Jesus.
aliens. I really don't.
Yes.
I'm not an alien fan. Arnold, what's your first question tonight?
So, since I worked in parks and stuff and helped other people, when like doing remodel in a house or a structure, can you release those who have been trapped, like if they're good or if they're bad, and do they follow the person that's been doing the remodel?
Yes.
Remodeling pisses off fairies. Remodeling pisses off spirits. I've never heard of remodeling pissing off Bigfoot, but I'm sure it could happen.
I'm sure it would if you took out his habitat behind the grounds.
You remodel the forest, you're in trouble.
Oh, yeah. Bigfoot's been mad at loggers for taking out his forest. But when it,
Wouldn't you be mad if some stranger came in and started rearranging all your furniture in your house?
As long as they start cleaning, I'm okay with it.
Absolutely. So when you look at it from the spirit's perspective, you're walking into their home and taking a wall out and putting in a new room. And so, will you release them? No, because spirits don't get stuck physically behind a wall, usually. So, no, they can always travel, but once you start remodeling their home, that's why usually, like with fairies, or with fae, you want to let them know what you're doing. And usually that's with landscaping. You want to let them know what you're doing. You're not harming nothing. You're beautifying, whatnot. And leave them an offering, which can be, cake. It can be some honey. It can be something real simple.
Something sweet.
Shiny objects. And with spirits, if you know the spirits that are present, you know you're going to make them upset by remodeling your home. But sometimes you can make a contract, make a deal with them. Look, I just need an extra room for Aunt Gertrude or Uncle Joe. Joe. Joe's going to store his pointy sticks in this extra room. And, sometimes that works. Other times, Now, can they follow you? Yes, spirits can follow anyone. They're not necessarily stuck in that house.
There are some certain things with spirits that you're right. They can go anywhere. There are some spirits that stay inside a room for some reason. They take that room over. That was like their room. They passed that way. They stayed in that room most of their life or whatever near the end.
And they won't leave that room.
And they don't come out. But believe me, if you try to remove them as a paranormal investigator or anything else, they can come through your phone lines. They can come see you. They will interfere with you getting there. They will do all kinds of different things.
What goes with this is the house we formerly lived in had a park. They just did a big remodel. They had to have the house foundation redone and stuff, but underneath the house, someone found, I guess somebody buried, or there was buried, a metal chest type thing. But when they went under there and looked at it, it was empty. But when we lived there was certain things happening in that house, like hearing footsteps going upstairs and different things, cool breezes coming in and stuff. But that was my main thing, because they've done a pretty big remodel and lifting up this house and moving things around. And
Yeah,
well, maybe the box wasn't empty until they opened it, and whatever was trapped in the box got released.
Could have been.
And that is always that is a possibility as well.
That is a possibility.
Because they usually...
you know what?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go on.
So sometimes spirits, they're stuck to an object, and that does happen. Or, again, yes, if they opened up the chest, it could have been stuck in the chest. That's a possibility. When it comes to rooms, we've had cases, many different cases, where a child wouldn't go to the room, to include the dog. Now, children we hold with a grain of salt because children are children. So sometimes they're obstinate. But when it comes to the family pets as well, that won't go into a specific room, you've got multiple cases of evidence on that side of it. So,
always trust the dog.
The animals have a great sense, plus they have better vision. Same thing with cats. And they do see things. I did a filming one day, and there was this cat watching something flying around, and it actually came on the camera where we were using an IR camera. You could see this orb, and this cat chased this orb, and the orb went through the wall, and the cat bounced off the wall. He was that intense and following it. He wasn't paying attention that there was a wall there, and bounced back off of it. But when you're in this type of situation, and we have it a lot, sometimes you have to have the owner explain what's going on, just like Eric said, and you also have to be able to take control of your home, because the spirit believes it's his house. You have to let him know that, look, you are in another plane. This house is mine. I own this house now. And we can make a deal. And sometimes it's like sitting down at the kitchen table and having a deal. If you will calm down and you will do this, and you can stay with me. If not, then we'd have to look at other ways to do this. I want you to enjoy this house, but this house needs to be modernized. It needs to come up. We need to change plumbing. We need to change the way that this looks. I just talked to a lady on the phone not too long ago about, had a psychic on the show, and we had a lady that was talking about painting her kitchen and doing some remodeling her kitchen, and the spirit hated it. Mm-hmm. And we find that the spirit seems to do bad things and throw things at the wife because of the spirit likes the wife's husband and may believe that it's somebody from her life and doesn't want the wife interfering with her relationship, the spirit relationship with her husband. And the husband is not noticing these things, but that is the things that happen. They can happen very, very easily, and then you have to be able to go in and you have to be able to take control of your house. I mean, that's just part of the deal. Some people aren't strong enough to do that. That's why we have teams go in and do it, and we talk to them and tell them that, look, this is no longer your house. You can stay here if the people agree to that, and
right. You come upon an arrangement, and we've done that many times. Where, yes, maybe you don't know, but you've actually passed on.
Right.
And
exactly,
you're scaring the dog. You're scaring the kids. Maybe you don't realize it, but if you tone that down, the family's agreed you can stay. This is their home now.
Yes,
and
right.
And there's a couple ways you can handle it. If they refuse to go, you can actually, if you have the right team, you can actually cross and communicate with a family member that's already crossed over, and they can actually coax that spirit with the family, on the other side. Or you just force them out. You just force them out. because that comes into the argument many have that all spirits have to cross. No, they don't. If they don't want to go and they're not causing any harm, then why do they have to go?
But at the same point with that, I would say if you are going to talk to and basically set up a contract with a spirit of you get this, we get this, whatever your deal is with them, make your boundaries, set them, and make them super clear.
That's part
Do
of
not
the
cross
family,
over those boundaries with that spirit.
Part of the family meeting.
Yeah.
That's why you have a meeting, basically sitting around a table, and you explain to the spirit you have passed over. This used to be your house. It was a great house. It still is, but you're scaring the family, whether you know it or not. And again, I always refer to the movie The Others. The Others is the perfect example of what goes on with most of these cases. And then the other thing, talking about the phone lines, electronics. Oh yeah, they know when you're coming. They don't want you to come.
Oh yeah.
I can't tell you how many times where we tried to call the client, and the phone's not ringing because they don't want your team. If you have a good team, they don't want your team there. If you have a crap team, then yeah, sure, come on over. We'll scare you too. That's
right.
really what it boils down to.
It's terrible to say that, but it's true. And
no, it's true.
One of the things that I tell teams that are doing things and they want to know, well, what do you guys do? And I said, well, every time that I do that, I will tell the person, is it all right if I record it? Because I will put it on the speakerphone and I will record it and I will listen back to the conversation later. And the spirit, 9 times out of 10, the spirits will talk over that phone.
Yep.
And you wouldn't believe the stuff that they say to you because they don't want you there.
Nope. They know they got to go if you show up.
But it's just the stuff that you pick up and you learn by being a seasoned team. There's those things that you do, and you just do it because it gives you a heads up of what you're going to be walking into. Because they will play with your GPS. They will, you will run out of an area. You'll be driving down to it'll say to get to the house, and you'll be going down a 2-track, and you're going to take the major road. One case we did, my GPS yelled at me and told me to make a U-turn on the expressway, and I was like going, what? No. And then I was 3 miles away from the house. The GPS was saying I was 3 miles away from the house when it started telling me to make a U-turn, and it divides me somewhere else, and I went 20 miles out of the way before I got to the house.
Oh, it sucks even worse when they drain your brand new batteries.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. That's why we carry a ton of them, but, it happens all the time, but it can also happen. It's not a malevolent spirit or an evil spirit. There are sometimes grandma. A lot of people get their grandma's house or their mom and dad's home, and they live in it, and they do changes to it, and they see things, and the grandkids will see a spirit or something like that, and it's basically grandma, and you got to have that conversation with grandma or grandpa or whoever that has passed, and just say, hey, look, the kids can see you, so don't let them see you. Tune it down a notch. You know how to be stealthy. Be stealthy. And yes, you can still keep an eye on them and everything else, but just be aware that you are, you're scaring them actually, and there's nothing else here that's scaring them. And you're trying to just check in and play with them and be there, but you can't do that. Do it via the way that they cannot notice you, and things will clear up real easy.
Yeah,
because they don't know that they're doing it.
Yeah, sometimes they do, and those are the ones that you have fun.
Yeah, those are the ones that we can't get rid of. Yeah, they don't go happily down the freeway.
No. So, Barry, what's your second question tonight?
I have lost my paper. head to another one, then I'll be as I look around because I'm
right.
writing and.
So, Joe, what's your next question?
Let me see. Well, I just got to thinking about something when you were talking about aliens earlier. We all know that the Russians supposedly got into space first. They had Sputnik going around, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the space race was on, and ever since then, the Russians had a lot of bad luck. Things blowing up and things not working. They even tried to send guys to the moon. That didn't work. They lied about that. And then they sent hundreds of, well, not hundreds, but they sent a bunch of probes to Mars. And every time one of their things got there, something happened to it. Shot out of the sky. They lost communications. We're not having that problem. And I was wondering if the aliens hate Russians.
Oh, you killed me. Well, actually, it happened to us, too. We did have two satellites that went by Mars that malfunctioned or disappeared. Just two. But either maybe one, the particular race that was destroying satellites that was hiding from us, has moved on to another planet. Or maybe it's time for us to find Mars.
I would.
Or maybe it's the fact that it had nothing to do with aliens and it was America shooting down all the Russian shit.
Yeah, well, that could be true.
I know we're in America, but we gotta kind of admit that was a space race and
right,
America.
Well, the other thing that I would look at too is that this is the time that we supposedly made pacts with the ETs. So if we were willing to say, hey, you can abduct this many people, hey, you can this, hey, you can that, they'd probably let our stuff go through a lot better than somebody that doesn't have any contract with them.
And that's
or the Russians wouldn't sign their contract and kept trying to shoot down UFOs.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Or
they got on their bad side.
Or it's just we have better technology now to where now we can actually go up there.
Either that or the Russians did make it up there. They didn't want to share their shit, so they said it was shot down.
Right.
There's all kinds of different possibilities.
there's the story right there. At one point, they were still wondering that they had been seeing these things and they hadn't had a ship, and we know that they were out there and trying to interact and doing things. Especially during the Cold War. And what happened is that for a long time, U.S. had it, so did Russia. They had an automatic shoot down. So they were attacking these UFOs, and they were shooting them. Curly right now. There was for a long time, a no shoot, no engage on UFOs. Might have changed lately, but what happens is that that's why you have all these mysterious airplane crashes, everything else, helicopter problems. There's been so many sightings, so many dealings with it, and that I think most of the families have heard about crafts, airplanes through the military, and helicopters that have been down mysteriously. And it's just we had a mechanical failure on the aircraft, and sorry you lost your son and daughter, or whatever. But they could have been involved in that kind of thing.
Diablo Pass.
Like in the early 50s, 50 and 51, I believe. We were in the middle of the conflict in Korea, and there were dogfights going on over there all the time. The weird thing is, we lost more fighter aircraft over the continental United States than we did at the same time over Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Why were we losing so many aircraft here? Because we were trying to shoot down UFOs.
Correct. Exactly.
Go
ahead.
So let me offer one thing that happened with the Russians. So the Russians were forced to low Earth orbit. Remember, they were the only ones carrying our most of the last decade the International Space Station. They're the ones who are contracting with everybody else. China, everybody builds space stations. So they become the masters of low Earth orbit habitation. But they were not allowed to go to the moon or anywhere else. They would have been there already. They were that much. They were more advanced than us, and they had more tolerance to failure than we did. But they've been forced to low Earth orbit, and they're very good at it.
Yes, they are. They are very good at low Earth orbit. You are correct about that.
You know what?
You know, you have to remember the first nuclear facility that was actually attacked, and which came out later, was in. Well, you would believe. I think I might know different, but that the nuclear weapons were actually set in launch mode was in Russia, and I think it was 94. Don't quote me on the dates, but they did. They had a shoot down right there at the facility, and that was one of the first. I think our first one in here happened in '75, actually, but it's never been talked about.
That was in Montana, wasn't
it? In North Dakota.
North Dakota, okay.
Yeah, Minot, North Dakota. And they got it kept from us, so.
I think it was Chernobyl.
1986?
You know, there's been so much. What a lot of people don't talk about the Moscow Roswell.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
You know, Russia had their own Roswell incident with a crash saucer. So you're talking technology jumps. You know, both countries have had their own UFO programs or alien programs. Look at the ARB that came out of Russia, along with, you know, our secret book we have here that no government agency has contacted me with a damn copy of my own secret book yet. Come on now.
Right.
I want a copy of the U.S. alien book.
I gotta be honest, there was a point in Russia where they were just way more open-minded than we were, and they were willing to see these things.
Yeah.
And it did happen, and it happened before the fall of the actual Russia itself. And, you know, there's a lot of incidents in Russia leading back to forever ago that you gotta shake your head at and go, huh. That's a little strange. Yeah, you got Dyatlov Pass. You have Rasputin himself. I mean, you have all kinds of stuff that they were open to a long time before Americans were. And then it kind of became this taboo subject again. And it went all into secret societies and secret things. And then now it's just resurfacing as, we've been continuing this stuff. We just didn't want anybody to know. So who knows where they've been, what they've done, and who's done what from what country. Because everybody seems to want to cover up everything that's actually going on.
Except for other countries. The U.S. is the only country that's covered it up. Because all the other countries are coming out saying, yep, we got a UFO program. Check all these documents out.
Right. And, you know, it's funny. Ed hit the nail on the head back in when Russia was a powerhouse back in the Cold War days. They didn't have the, you know, they're a little bit tougher. They didn't care. Okay, you're going to go up to the moon. Oh, sorry, we lost 5 astronauts. Oh, we lost 10 more. Here, we stop programs because we lose 2.
Oops.
You know, or 5 or whatever, you know, and everything goes away for a long time. And that was the difference between the two. That's what drove them farther and did that way. They didn't have the human life factor. They were just looked at them as more as numbers, and we looked at more as people. And we didn't want people dying going into space, and that's what took us longer to do it. So we tried to make it safer than they did. And whatever happened up on the moon and whatever went on, to this day, I don't think we'll ever know because if it is possible, I think most of the people were mind erased, and some of the things they said, I can't believe that Armstrong never talked about it. It must have been that crazy because he came back a changed man.
Edward Mitchell talked about it more than Armstrong did.
Yeah, well, Armstrong didn't say anything.
Armstrong never said a thing, but he didn't say anything to anybody about anything.
Right, nothing.
Well,
nothing.
He became a hermit after that.
Yeah,
the other thing... Sorry?
said a lot, but he didn't last too long.
Well, the other thing that you got to think about too is that the U.S. space program was not the U.S. space program. It was written and directed and come up with most of the stuff by German scientists, other countries' scientists.
Yeah.
We pulled people in, and we made them make our rockets for us. So, if they were...
Project Paperclip.
Right, so if they were already that much further advanced than we were to start with, the only reason that we got to the level that they did in the first place was by pulling in people from other countries that had already done this. Or had been working on it, at least.
Exactly. Well, if you look back at it, the first place that we took most of the scientists from were Germany. Mm-hmm. And Germany was the actually first one that had the first encounter in the Black Forest in the 1930s. 34, Eric, help me out, or somebody help me out.
What's that?
The first UFO crash in
Germany's Black Forest.
Germany in 1930, I think it's 34, maybe 36. And I'm sorry, folks, I'm shy on the dates, but man, you can't remember all of it.
Oh no, there's too much to memorize over the years. Oh my God.
Yeah, but yeah, that was the first place. So they had some interesting stuff, and even back when we had Kecklenburg in PA here, and that Bell came through, they were working
I have my doubts about Kecksburg. There's too much skepticism about Kecksburg not being a government experiment because of the bell shape.
Well,
exactly.
I mean, we wouldn't have got anywhere without von Braun. We just wouldn't have.
No.
He was the father of rocket science, and the fact is that we picked him up and acquitted him and put him in front of
not just von Braun, program, but our biological program, our psychological program, and all of our programs, whether they were malevolent or good, were spurred by Paperclip. And I think we need to do a complete show on Paperclip just to show the extent of it. We need to back up real quick because PBR's got a question about Ouija boards in the chat room. So, would you recommend communicating with a spirit with a Ouija board? Ouija boards to me are, and we say this on the show all the time. It's a basic basement communication. Anything can come through. Now, would I go into a paranormal case with a Ouija board? Absolutely not. There's much better means to communicate than a Ouija board. A medium for one. True. Or even a spirit box for another. A Ouija board, no. Because a Ouija board basically, and a spirit box to me is really the same thing, it's just electronic. But I wouldn't, to me, a Ouija board's primitive communication versus what we have today.
I always look at a Ouija board and technology, and I think of a Ouija board as like the first AOL dial-up internet. Okay? It comes in, it comes out. If something else happens, it kicks you offline. Okay?
Oh, if y'all can see Cole rolling his eyes right now. Oh, yeah. But no,
when I was a kid, we had a Ouija board, and it sat on a shelf, with right there where the Monopoly board is, and we used to mess around with it when we were kids. And I don't know, maybe because we didn't have any prepubescent female with us, but we never got the planchette to move once, not once.
Hey, they work. They work or they don't. they really do.
I have over 50 Ouija boards. And I have done over 1,000 sessions with Ouija boards and various people. I love Ouija boards, but they are psychoactive. Whatever you have in your mind and how they work is how they work. I've seen everything from people having demons come out of them in their minds to people talking great relative talks to actually having cartoons come through. I'm serious. It's all the one biggest factor is what do you have in your mind that you want to put into this sort of psychic mirror.
Right.
And then any spirit that answers to that psychic mirror, that jagged edge, to play with you. See it over and over again.
Right, and that is true. That's why they use it. But at the same time, when you're using a spirit box or a ghost box, it is no different. You know, people for some reason or other,
it's electronic version.
I agree with you. I think it's a crude tool. That's like saying that you will want to use, you know, the telephone of the 1900s versus the smartphone today. I mean, it was invented in the 1800s.
Yes.
That's why I laugh at these teams when the question comes up, would you use a Ouija board on investigation? Oh, no, that brings in demons. But I've got my SB7. Really? It's the same damn thing. You know, if you're going to bring in a demon through a Ouija board, you're going to bring it through the SB7 too. It's no different.
The funny thing about it is that what people don't understand is when they go into a home or a location and they use it. Look, folks, anytime that you're communicating to a spirit, whether it be through a ghost box, you're pulling in spirits from everywhere. It doesn't matter. It could be down the street from you. It's got an opportunity to speak, and it's going to come speak. They have that ability to travel. And, you know, those are the things that you have to sort out. The ones that are there will definitely speak through that box, but there are others that won't. I mean, and we've heard cases where they've talked about accidents and somebody has died. And it's actually pulling their spirit there to talk about this accident and the whole 9 yards, and it happened 5 miles down the road.
Well, I mean, we've said it a million and a half times. The ability to move all over the place. It's all about the intent you put on stuff. It isn't necessarily the stuff. It's the intent you put on it.
It's about the intent you put on it, and it's about the protection you use.
Yeah. And it's about the abilities of the actual people themselves as well.
Right,
exactly.
And I completely agree with that. And Joe, the planchette never moved because the spirits were scared of your pointy sticks.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Hey, I'm the nice one in the family. My brothers were mean. I'm just wondering if they just looked out from inside the board and said, "No, not going there."
But you got to understand, you're a 7 foot tall, heavily bearded mountain man. They're going to be intimidated by you anyway. They're going to think you're a Bigfoot.
Don't go there. The Bigfoot are using the board.
Okay.
Oh, no.
But,
I remember the first Ouija board we got, and it was kind of like that mom said, well, this was a fun game when we were kids, you know, because they have been around forever. And she brings it into the house, and it wouldn't, every time that I'd leave the door, they'd want to know where I was or something like that, and they'd never give them a straight answer. And then it would say home, and my dad would go, "Ha, I got you," and I'd walk in the door. And then it got to be to the point where it would just smoke. I mean, you had to have somebody actually reading down the letters, because it would go so fast. And one day my sister walked in the room, and it just went bonkers. And we had all these alphabetic things there, and we looked at it real careful. And my grandfather used to call my sister Barney Google with the googly eyes, and that is what came across the spirit board. And my mom immediately picked it up, ran downstairs, and I never saw that board ever again. So, you know, that's the kind of stuff that can happen. And there has been bad cases of them, and we all know about them. Yes, and it is all about your intent. It's all about your mind. It's all about what you're thinking. Most of the people in this world do not know how spiritual and what they can do with their own body, outside of their own body. You know, this is just a vessel. You are a spirit itself, and you have abilities to do amazing things.
What I want to hear, I want to see a Bigfoot come through a Ouija board.
You just rip it in half. Like,
Well, okay, an SP7. We get an SP7. I want to hear a
I've honestly
Bigfoot.
had more paranormal stuff happen on a Monopoly board when we were kids. I mean, hotels would magically appear on my brother's property.
well, you know,
Again, that has to do with intent.
Yep. He intentionally.
He intended to win.
you know, I will say though, people think they're evil. People think all of these tools, at some point somebody said, oh, it's an evil tool. Okay? Well, just like a tarot card deck, it's nothing but a deck of cards until you actually make it work for you. Like, and these things are not evil in themselves, not until you put that focus
Tarot
into
cards
it.
by intention alone can't be evil anyway.
What?
They're a higher vibration.
Go ahead.
You just helped with that stereotype. You compared it to America Online.
Yeah.
The epitome of evil when it came to the internet in the 90s. Yeah, you can't say that and then say that they are not evil.
Oh, God. I didn't think AOL Online was evil either.
That's because you weren't.
Wait.
You didn't ever have it.
That's what I missed.
Wait, yeah, I did.
I missed
No, you
hearing
didn't.
you got
Back in
mail.
95.
But yeah.
I've got to throw this in. I found my question, but it was like, it's an easy one, but it's a controversial one. Haunted people or haunted places?
What about them?
What about it?
Meaning is most of the people because
Both.
A haunting is because of the person that the people
Both.
are haunted, or it's the place haunted.
Absolutely both.
Yeah, both. It's simple.
Yeah.
I think if a spirit attaches, not an attachment. They're two different things. I think a spirit can glom onto a person and follow them from house to house. I've seen it.
Well, it's still an attachment. It's just a spiritual attachment compared to an entity attachment.
Yeah.
Right. But
same
can
thing
can spirits follow you from
anything else?
Yeah, but going deeper than that, I do think there's certain people that, yes, if spirit likes your energy or hates your energy, I think it can follow you from place to place.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, when it comes to location attachment or a location haunting, oftentimes you'll find something happen there, or that was that spirit's home, or that spirit's business. Wherever that spirit was most comfortable is where they're going to go back to. Are they always, they got killed on I-5 in a car accident. Are they going to be stuck there? Not usually.
Correct.
So, sometimes it does happen. Look at and I know some of them have been debunked, but you look at the kids that got killed in a train accident where if you get stuck on the train track, your car will automatically get pushed off the tracks.
Yeah, outside of San Antonio, Texas, out there. Yeah.
Well,
And they've gone there and they've proven that it's an optical illusion because it's actually downhill toward the tracks.
Right, but
and the fingerprints end up on the trunks of the cars. Well, they were there to start with.
The thing is,
shutting the trunk.
That's not just one location that's happening. That's happened in multiple states.
Right.
So, is it always going to be an optical illusion? Not necessarily. I do think. Well, no, it could be. I'm not discrediting that, but I do think
I like
spirits.
the idea of a helpful ghost.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
I don't think they're all demons and malevolent spirits.
Yeah. No.
Maybe sometimes when you lose your keys in your house and you think the ghost or the spirit took them and hid them, well, maybe the spirit just finds them and then leaves them on the counter to help you.
Well, that's
or
fair.
maybe they're trying to give you
Yeah.
5 extra seconds before you leave so you don't get in that accident.
Yep.
Oh, good one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
And
but
that that's what people they fail to remember. It's not always spirits doing that. It can be fae too. Mm-hmm. And shiny objects are shiny objects.
Yeah.
Right.
Fae like shiny objects. Spirits like shiny objects. There's a lot of stuff. I like shiny objects, but yeah.
All right, I'm going to be weird
Throw out
again.
The worst thing in the world. And I'll probably, this is a weird thing, and I'd love your opinion on it.
Go for it.
So we have paranormal teams that go to graveyards all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
My question is, why don't they go to the crosses on every highway?
Some of them do.
Some of them, well, we did.
Yeah.
But I think... why are we going to a graveyard?
There's dead people there.
Oh no, I get that, but are they going there to pass over spirits? You don't see them saying that. We're just going to go investigate the graveyard. What's there to investigate? That's where they're buried. Of course you're going to find spirits in the graveyard. So why are we going to the graveyard?
Right.
Just like the haunted
Because they've seen
locations.
it on TV shows.
I know.
Right.
Just like Waverly Hills. Why am I going to pay you $5,000 to go to your haunted insane asylum?
See,
Why?
My house is insane already, so come on down.
Right. You know,
I won't charge you near that much.
and I've said it before. There's nothing wrong with that, but the only use I see of going to an already known haunted location is to train new members of the team. That's it.
Exactly.
Because you know you're gonna get an EMF reading. You know you have a good chance of getting a spirit communication through an SB7.
Or an EVP.
Right.
EVPs. I can't tell you how many times. I used to read gravestones. I'd go, and I like history, so I'd also do research and on cases. And it's amazing as you're going through the graveyard and you're saying, "Hi, how you doing today? So and so," and they'll go, "Good afternoon, sir." You'll get that kind of stuff at a graveyard. And it is cool, but it's basically those are the spirits that they're not causing any trouble, they're not doing anything else. That is a great place to train people. Mm-hmm. But if let the dead rest.
Absolutely.
Dead,
Aren't there a lot of reports of Bigfoot being seen in graveyards?
All the time.
Yeah. Now what's that all about?
He's resting.
No, he's burying the bones of his fallen brothers on top of the caskets of others so nobody finds them.
You're right.
Well, it's kind of like this. ETs have been seen around graveyards, all kinds of different stuff. But again, it goes back to my DNA theory. Where is the best place to be able to get DNA in the United States other than a graveyard?
True.
There are
morgue.
bones. There is everything all over the place. You can get all kinds of things in a graveyard.
Motel 6.
Exactly. We'll leave the light on.
It's everywhere. Never take a black light in one of those places.
Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart.
That's the kind of DNA they don't want.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed that the people when you do the stuff that we do and have that kind of gift and you walk into Walmart and people walk away from you? Those are the ones I worry about.
Have you ever watched the Walmart videos on YouTube?
Oh, sometimes.
Yeah, no. So, there is one cemetery here that we were supposed to go to, 2 years ago, in Lake McMurray, that is a restless graveyard. And that was simply to try to appease the spirits that were there. And there's a really historic backstory to that particular graveyard that we might actually go back to eventually. We never made it initially. But it's interesting because Lake McMurray alone has a lot of Bigfoot, a lot of UFO, and of course that specific cemetery. And it's all part of our Cascade Mountain Range, which is why we're reestablishing the team, because we don't need to leave. We got everything right here in our backyard, from the hauntings to the Bigfoot to the UFO activity. But with the exception of the restless graveyard that someone needs to go appease, I again don't see the attraction to sending your paranormal team to a graveyard.
You know, I've always looked at spirits a little different, and I've always thought that every single spirit, whether they're malevolent or otherwise, has a reason for sticking around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I think that they haunt the places that they do, or the people that they do, because that is who they think or what they think would be the best way to get their point across. So whether it's a graveyard that they're haunting because they want something to get across that happened there, or whether it's a specific site along the roadway that they are, or whether it's a person that they believe can help them in whatever it is they're trying to do. I think that spirits follow people and they stay places because they think that that is the best location that they could possibly be in to get whatever it is they're trying to get across.
And you're correct. And they get to tell the story. The other thing is that some of them don't know that they can actually leave. They don't know that they can visit other families and everything else. There's not a handbook that we tried to do.
No, Beetlejuice wasn't right on that one. There is no handbook for the dead.
Yeah.
Right. And so some of them get in a situation where they are comfortable in and they stay there. Just the same thing with people who astral and go certain places. They'll be comfortable astral in the same spot. They may find a space in between dimensions in the dark, because when you go through those, there is some gaps, and you don't want to linger in there because it's peaceful, it's quiet, but you can also get lost. You want to continue into the next area. You don't want to go from that one spot and play in that one area for a long time. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Eric just said that there's no handbook for the dead, but in Beetlejuice they had the handbook for the recently deceased.
No,
that's what I was talking about. They don't have they don't have that.
Yeah,
but they have
don't have
it. They lost it.
They did. They did. So Arnold, what's your next question tonight?
There's back in when I was in high school in Eastern Washington, my uncle used to work at a place called ComSat. It's big. It was built in 1965 as the first Pacific Region Earth Station at Brewster, and it was part of the Communication Satellite Act of 1962. However, when he worked there and stuff and talked, and we tried to talk to him about what he did and what they did up there and stuff like that, he couldn't say a whole lot of what they were doing and stuff like that. Have any of you, what's on here in the chat, had heard about the place or know of the place and what they did and stuff back then? Because I have a feeling there was a lot of exploration done from that place.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of it again?
ComSat.
ComSat. You put it in, and it's under a different name now, but you put ComSat and you'll see pictures and stuff of it up. But yeah, it was funny because he'd tell me if they'd go outside and be working, they had to be careful because if they moved any of these big dishes around and they were close by and it got near where it was going to point at them, it would kill them, for one.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the beams and stuff that shot or brought in. But yeah, I have a feeling there was a lot of stuff that happened with that. More. And it's still there today. And I think they still do some stuff.
I'll look it up.
And I think, ComSat the satellites have really changed a lot. We were, back in the day, and I think we use satellites to do a lot of things right now with us and for us, and they were the institutions of that. We talked about some of we've talked about on the show before, about certain signals and everything else. And if you look at every patch and you look at certain people's patches, that when we were talking about Russia's being superior in lower orbit, same thing with us. You'll see triangles patches. You'll see a lot of different triangles, and I think that is the through the satellite casting, it allows the aliens to control what comes in and out. All right, and I know that sounds kind of freaky, but most of all the patches, most of everything that you've ever seen, NASA, Thrope, or anything else has a triangle on it. And I think that you will notice that that is kind of like saying you have authorization to be able to go that way. I think they were working on that. Satellites have become very important nowadays. I think some of the alien orbs and so forth like that use that. I think there is actually a highway or an area that is putting out a certain frequency that goes across the areas that's related to satellites and beams up and down areas, and it actually could be a protected area. I worry more, when it came out with Star Wars and everything else. Think about it. You cannot shoot off and have something up there that's going to destroy all the missiles that are coming there, but you have a better chance of protecting yourself from what's coming in. Mm-hmm. And how you do that was through satellites and the power of that. And satellites have become one of the biggest things. Look at how many satellites we have up there right now. And look how much Musk and everybody else is going to continue to put up there. Sooner or later, you're going to have be able to, if we believe what we were told about space shots and everything else, well, how do you send up a rocket and not maneuver around all the space junk that's up there? I mean, you put up 1,400 satellites around Earth's orbit. Do we really know how many satellites are there? You ever looked at the satellite set and take a look at it?
There's a lot of them.
Oh my gosh.
We're covered in space debris.
Yes, we are. I don't know how they maneuver it, so they've got to have something. This little capsule that we originally went up there is definitely not maneuvering through all that stuff.
No.
Yeah.
So, and you have to remember the
I don't know about the ComSat, but when I was growing up, my best friend next door, of course, his dad was in the Air Force, and he worked on the DEW line, the distant early warning, up there in Alaska and Canada. I think even into Greenland, he worked over there too. And every once in a while, he would say things that I think he wanted to talk about it and pass information on, but, I was an 8-year-old kid. I didn't really glom onto it much, but he did give me my first book. He handed me a book one day, because his kid couldn't read. But he handed me the book. It was Donald Kehoe's Flying Saucers Are Real.
Mm-hmm.
And, I wish I'd had the gumption to go back and just drill them with questions and stuff, but I didn't. But, the guys, it's their job to look up. They see things. They can't always talk about it. Yeah. Back then, people didn't.
No.
There's a ridiculous amount of trails of breadcrumbs left behind, for sure.
Ed, what's your next question? Ed?
So, yes. This is from last time. We were talking about CERN and the idea of different multiple realities. Did they knock us out? And so Fermilab, Batavia, Illinois, which is another big one of these labs, just has sustained teleportation over a 27-mile grid in Illinois. And it's another one of these things. And they're basically indicating that there's more and more about setting up a quantum-level internet in the city of Chicago. And I find that very interesting. And it's like a sudden advancement of technology. They're suddenly talking about moving from just building a few of these systems to kind of building something citywide. And of course, Chicago is where they invented the atomic bomb. When you keep coming back to Chicago again and again, having University of Chicago having access to this technology right there in front of us, and I keep seeing it over and over again. So I find that interesting. We were talking about this. My question is, again, going back to it, we're talking about the idea of it. This idea of space travel. If there is quantum, and we're starting to see even the remotest chance of quantum teleportation, wouldn't that explain why these ships could absolutely disappear without even a thought? Are we starting to see the technologies they're using?
Ooh. Okay. When we talk about quantum technology, us as humans, we are so far away from being able to understand the realm of the quantum. It's actually kind of funny that we try as hard as we do to understand something that we don't get that much of. I think that's where everything will end up eventually, one of these days. I think that's going to be our explanation for a lot of things that right now we can't explain. But I also believe that we are so far from that explanation that it's easily going to be another 1,000 years or more before we get the answers that we started looking for.
Yeah, it's all about quantum entanglement. This particle is reacting to a particle 1,000 miles away or 1,000,000 miles away. It's all interconnected, but are we going to figure it out? Maybe. Are we going to blow ourselves up before we do? That's possible. Maybe the Martians, 100,000 years ago had a large hadron collider. And they were looking at the quantum stuff, and next thing you know, poof, they're gone.
Fermi's paradox, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so
what do you think happened to Atlantis?
So from last time, you also talked, because we're talking about CERN, is this idea of Fae, that there's more Fae moving into the world. And I've been talking to people, and they've been saying it. So will Fae show, because of the idea of quantum, the idea of electronics, will they show up in your equipment as ghosts or some sort of entity?
So
people are asking me.
So Fae can show up through Kinect cameras.
Mm-hmm.
That's
not fair.
No, just like spirits do.
It can catch a Fae, but it can't catch a black guy. That's awesome.
That's weird.
Okay, so I sit there and I study a lot of ridiculous stuff as far as it comes to quantum technology. I do. It's one of my little baby passions. I actually recently joined the open enrollment for the IBM quantum computers that are open to everybody, just to see if I can make the first quantum video game. I really want to do it, so I'm working on that. But the thing is, it is. They do open enrollment. It's freaking awesome. You get to do all kinds of equations and put them into their open quantum computers.
I barely passed statistics. You think I can pass quantum physics? Hell no.
Okay. But I think when we're talking about Fae, they don't need to understand this realm because they're part of it. Okay? They phase in and out through this. This is where they live. This is their world. And once we catch up in technology to become part of their world and to see their world through their quantum eyes, I guess you would call it, then yeah, we're going to be able to contact them better, and yes, we're going to be able to see them better because that's where they live. That's what they do.
Oh, wait. So it's top of the hour. We need to go to break. We'll come back. We will carry on.
Hold on.
What?
Before we go, I just got to say that's an unfair assumption.
What?
They don't have to question it because they live in it?
Yes.
So then why do we question anything? We live here.
Okay.
Yeah, we question everything around us.
until it becomes just part of your normal reality.
Bullshit.
Maybe they're
we
not
still
included.
question it. We know the Earth is round.
Oh, I can't wait for quantum pointy sticks.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but the moon is flat.
Oh,
You only see one side.
right?
There is only one side.
Oh, man. The moon is a giant geode. Okay.
And with that, when we come back, we'll carry on last hour of Roundtable.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric.
Oh, welcome back to S4 for our third hour of Roundtable tonight. And yeah, I love being put on the hot seat. So, quantum physics, something I will never learn or be able to mentally grasp.
Neither will the Fae because they apparently aren't interested in
No,
it.
you know what?
No,
The Fae aren't
okay.
in the quantum world. The Fae are in the Fae world.
Yeah? How do you know it's not the same thing?
I know it's not
How
the
do you
same
know
thing.
it
They
is?
have their own realm. It's like dragons have
You
their own
seem to
realm.
have
The
all
quantum
this
is
knowledge.
another realm.
No.
That's a,
No, I don't play that one.
We want to know what Fae you talk to.
Henry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? One thing about it is when you go to get coffee, make sure you take your coffee cup.
That would be a good. Yeah, it's kind of hot when you pour it in your hand.
Yeah. There we go. Shit, where's my coffee cup?
So Barry, what's your last question for the night?
Last question. The last question of the night will be on and one that I struggle with quite a lot, and it is I got a comment for Stern too, because and the Fae. But the question will be when you are talking about the quantum physics and quantum ideas, and you're looking at all the other things that are happening. Where do frequencies come into play with this? Because all of the people that are out there currently right now are talking about raising your frequencies, raising your levels. And I think that frequencies have been quite an interesting part of this ordeal. As we know that the original hum of the earth is 432. Music used to be at 432, and now we're at 440 to throw off things. So my question is why is frequency so important at this time?
So I think it's going to sound out there. It is out there. It's just a whim. I think if the vibration goes, I don't even know how to word it, because you're talking outside of my realm. I don't.
That's one of the hard things about it for me, is because sometimes, and I've been hearing this so much more lately, especially when we go into paranormal locations and doing things, is that so many people are getting high hums in their ears, ringing in their ears. They don't have tinnitus, they don't have that, but they get this ringing in their ears. And I mentioned it before, but it's becoming more and more. And I don't know if there's something out there that's actually beaming a frequency at us to change us or to do something to us, and that's kind of what I was trying to get your opinion of, and where it goes. Because
when you say what
the ringing in everybody's ears, I think that might have something to do with environmental trash. In other words, we're sending out so many radio signals right now. You're getting bombarded with TV waves, cable waves, radio waves, cell phone waves,
5G.
And every once in a while, those things have got to sync up and mess with people. That's just, everything is so electronic, and there's so much everywhere that I think that's what a lot of that is.
Well, they recently came out with the NASA reported that there is an artificial man-made shell around the world of basically frequencies that keep out a certain amount of radiation from all the frequencies we put out. But Tesla said it, energy, frequency, and vibration. If you know these, you know the secrets of the universe.
Right.
So we're increasing the amount of energy we're generating, just period. We're just pumping constantly more and more energy into our society. And we had this weird thing that they announced 2 weeks ago where the actual physical mass of things that humans have built outstrip the actual natural landscape that remains. So we're more artificial now as of 2020 than we are natural. And so that's a frequency change. So that's a disruption. We've actually moved from basically from a certain amount of mechanical to an amount of mechanical society from a natural society. And it could be the noise from it, the sort of rebellion of that.
Yeah. But we get so many, as radio hosts and so forth like that, of the conscious mind. And we talk about, I get so many people that are talking about, we need to raise our frequency level. It beats the negativity and everything else. But there are also bad frequencies that can cause.
I think there has to be a medium.
Right. So if we're all going to this extra place, who's determining that frequency level, or how far we have to raise our frequency, and what happens when we do that?
Well, high enough frequency shatters glass.
Right.
And the higher the frequency, the more and more you go to shattering matter. And so I think people who are doing it think they can shatter their spirit, they can raise their spiritual energy, somehow it'll just rip them out of their bodies. I just do. It's sort of it's fetishized in our community, in the people of communities, that somehow if you raise your frequency, you'll somehow shed your body.
Yeah.
When you're talking vibration and frequency, I have to. My mind automatically goes to abductions, because we know most of your races that are abducting can only abduct at a lower frequency, and it seems to be the same frequency that you will find these people are depressed. They have no energy. They're basically at the lowest point of their life. And that's where you have the Greys and the Mantids and the Reptilians. The three primary races that abduct can only abduct when that person is at the lowest point of frequency. You raise the vibration, they can't abduct. They can't even come into the home. And that's where we tell them, play instrumental music, play uplifting music, think positive thoughts, things of that nature. And that might also be when sage comes in, to an extent.
Right. It's funny for me, because if you go back into history and look at history, and what we dealt with today and some of the things that are going on, I can't keep on stressing some of the things that are going. But mind control and everything else, frequency has the ability to do that, because if you've ever seen children sitting in front of a TV, or even adults at a certain tone that comes through the TV, they are very locked into it, and they are very susceptible to what is going on. And you could walk by and go, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?" And they won't even hear you, because they're so concentrated into it that way. But Hitler used to use 332 to downplay. He would beam 332 frequency out to be able to use that to control the masses. It kind of took you down dumber. And so if you raise your frequency to 432, which the Earth hum, it protects you at certain things. There's things out there that say 970 is angelitic. But raising to those hertz levels can be very bad. And there's also things where you talk about the bass. Remember back a long time ago, you used to go places and you hear that funk, 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 funk bass, and that can stop your heart. Those things can. It's very critical on what a frequency can do. And Tesla's right. It all does. You do have the secret of the Earth, but is it for good purposes, or is it for bad purposes? Because we should know that there is nothing. There's not a good without an evil or a dark. You have to have both. And so, is there certain frequencies that other people beam to be able to control other people?
Maybe that's what's behind 5G.
Could be. I don't know. But there's something out there that is causing this, and I call it, paranormal wash, because I think that may be what's causing a paranormal hangover. It's like having a extra heavy dose of radiation or something that causes that from dealing with that. That's what wears you out. It tears you to pieces. It just makes you dead for the next day. And we've all had paranormal hangovers.
Well, lack of coffee and cigarettes causes me a paranormal hangover, but that's another story.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think there's enough invested in 5G to really know the ramifications of it when it comes to the frequency and vibration.
I think we're going to see a lot more about 5G coming out here also, because it is a definite tool to control and take it, because you've got to come up with a thing. I saw an article, somebody has actually got some kind of device that I think that I wanted to look into, and I didn't get a chance to research it. But it's I think it's called Body Align. It's a device you wear on it that actually keeps EMF off of you.
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody heard of that?
Yes.
No, I'm writing it down though.
And
Is it like Faraday suit?
Kind of.
no, it's a
but it's just like a little thing that looks like one of those things like I've fallen and I can't get up, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, but I caught that Body Align, and somehow it aligns and keeps EMF away from you.
I would think about it this way. Again, since forever, there are certain tones and certain frequencies and certain music. This is why people chanted. This is why Christmas carols came out. This is why all of this stuff, because certain tones, certain music, certain vibrations, they give you a feeling of happiness or euphoria.
Yeah.
Others give you a feeling of dread and sadness. This is why when we're sad, we listen to sad music, it makes us sadder and it makes us cry. Things like that, okay? And I think that if we figure out certain frequencies, and I think that everybody's brain is set up differently to receive these as well, which is why some people like rap music and other people like country, is because it's whatever speaks to your brain and makes your synapses fire in a way that brings you that dopamine, that brings you that feeling of euphoria or of peace. And no matter how much you raise your frequency, if you're a low frequency person, it's not going to help you necessarily. So I think that everybody has to find their own number for themselves.
Right.
So it's just like fingerprints. We all have our own thing that's going to work for us and our own number that's going to work for us.
But when you look at common denominators, you will find most abductees describe a vibration or a hum when the craft is around. Mm-hmm. So I think some of the technology that's being used by the aliens does run off vibration and frequency.
Oh, so do I, and that's why I believe that certain races incite fear in us just from them being around. Well, maybe it's not them being around, maybe it's the frequency that they carry with them that incites fear. Maybe it's the frequency that they carry with them that incites us to go, oh wow, these are angelic type being, or whatever it is, and it plays off of how our brain perceives that frequency. Mm-hmm. So that's why some people will say that they had the best experience ever with these angelic-like beings, and somebody else for the same being will say that it was the scariest thing they'd ever been through with these horrible, awful beings.
Right.
Is because we're all on such different waves there that it can be a great experience for one person and the end of the world for another.
Yeah, you know, when I started looking into frequencies, and that's why I'm kind of crazy about it. I mean, this gets deep conspiracy theorists, but 432 was the original tune of music and everything else. And then a certain individual really pushed to make it 440. Mm-hmm. That individual was Rothschild.
Yep.
So why did he do that?
Because that's what made him happy. It worked for him.
But
well, they said there's a lot of movies out there that supposedly are trying to give us little hints about things.
Yeah.
And it's a big joke with Mars Attacks and Slim Whitman songs. And that frequency would explode. Well, maybe they were trying to tell us something there, that there is a frequency that will keep them away.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's kind of what I was trying to get at earlier, where
there's a protective frequency and there's a frequency that is damaging to us. that's where I'm getting to it. And it affects the paranormal. I think that frequency is around everything that's in the paranormal, and through that, and anything that's coming from a dimensional side, and spirits come from a dimensional from another dimension. It's not the same dimension. When the veil or those areas get closer together, you'll hear bangs and booms on your. It's the same way when you listen to an EVP. Sometimes you'll hear the EVP. You'll hear like before an EVP.
Well, it's the same.
It's breaking that veil, or it's breaking that plane, and it makes some type of radiation or some kind of explosion before it does that, and that's what you'll catch on your recorder.
Okay, so Barry, like for instance, if me and you were both walking into the Octagon House together, okay?
Yep.
And you were at this level of frequency and I was at this one, okay? And right in front of us, and right in front of us, an apparition came. Maybe you would see it and I wouldn't, because of the fact that you and that apparition are on the same frequency, where the person standing next to you is not.
Well, that happens with alien sightings all the time.
Exactly, which is why certain people can see things,
but hundreds won't.
Yes, and I think it all has to do with the level of frequency and what it does to your own individual mind.
True. I can agree with that.
Have you ever heard the theory about? Have you ever heard the theory about the pituitary gland having something to do with that?
Yes, I have.
So do you think it's the pituitary gland that controls that frequency?
It most definitely can. My personal thinking is yes, because I think some people can raise their frequencies and be able to get to a certain frequency level. And it does come from the pituitary gland, and I think that's why some people can communicate to aliens easier. I think that's sometimes why there's people that remember their experiences and people that don't.
And unfortunately, the one area that people can study and study and study and never come any closer to is how the human mind actually works.
Well, they still don't know what half the brain does.
What it does, why it's there, and why certain pieces even exist. Why you can take out certain pieces and the person can still function totally, fully fine.
Yeah.
And I think that understanding the human brain and understanding the frequency's role in the human brain is going to be what opens our mind to a lot of things.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's one of the things that I dealt with an abductee that picked up an extreme high amount of frequencies and actually put those frequencies back out. And he's been doing studies with Harvard and other areas about the common about the brain and what EMF does to it and what other things happen to it, and why as an abductee more part of their brain is more active than the regular brain is. It's like they stimulated that part of that brain.
Right. All right, so Joe, what's your next question for tonight?
Well, I was thinking when you were talking earlier about when you guys go to a place, or not necessarily what Zach Bagans does, but that kind of thing, where they put out trigger objects. And I was wondering if Barry in the Octagon House, or if any of the rest of you have ever taken an old Bakelite rotary phone that's not plugged in anything and set it in a room just to see if it'll ring.
I haven't.
Nope. Never had a reason to.
No. Sounds like an interesting idea to me. It's pretty old school, but
sounds like the beginning of a new horror movie.
You know, there have been. There have
everything else, and we've been in areas where we'll take, for instance, the hall. Upstairs, there are some very old bells that are used in the house. Bells were used in the house to be able to
Obviously, let somebody know you needed something. If you were a wounded soldier or anything else, you'd ring a bell and someone would come and answer the bell.
Right.
We have heard bells in the house many times. Old pianos. I've had old pianos play. We've had clocks that have not worked, older clocks and so forth, the key winds and so forth, that are not running, that have started running. And also some that will chime without having anything done. And they will chime, amazing enough, 12 times.
Right.
And then they stop.
And I think that really goes back to the intent and the purpose of your team. So if you're there to prove or disprove the existence of paranormal, then you're going to use trigger objects. If you're there only to handle the emergency side, which we did, we had no reason to have trigger objects because, well, the cases we had, there was really
completely different.
It was either proving the client was psychiatric or there really was something there. That's what it boiled down to.
Horror movies play.
You know what? That's. Yeah, I'm sorry, but you're 100%. You're 100% right, Eric. Depending on what you're doing there, we don't use trigger objects in the homes that we go to help people. You just don't need them.
No,
you're there to do what thing. If you're doing research or you're doing something else, then trigger objects. Great.
You're either going to show the client that yes, okay, you've got hot pipes that are banging, or you actually have a spirit here, and we can handle that.
Right.
You don't need trigger objects for something like that. No, that's great for TV.
But to go with your rotary phone idea, there has been a lot of documented cases of old phonographs playing for no reason, and I think that would be more on the lines of the rotary dial phone.
And, you know, thinking of a spirit that died in the 1900s, and that's all they had was a phonograph, and they're playing their favorite song.
True.
And they're going, what the hell's that radio? You know.
But one of the biggest things
you're talking about the frequencies, and you're talking about the pianos. It just reminded me. I've got guitars all over my place, and a mandolin, banjo, and this and that. But there's been a couple times in the middle of the night, I'll hear one of the guitars. I'll just hear a string get hit.
Yeah.
I've always considered, a fly flew into it or something. But maybe it is something else.
Yeah. You know, I've had. Got an old banjo up in the hall, and I've heard it just string one string in it, and it just goes boing, and it's harder than a fly hitting it. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You know, me and my son Jalen were sitting in the living room, and we have a whole wall on the back wall that has different types of guitars and banjos and stuff hanging from it. And it wasn't windy, the windows weren't open, there was nothing different, and it strummed. It full out did a strum across it.
Didn't we conclude that was pressure?
There is a lot of things that you like. That's what I was saying, is that when you were talking about the one chord going ding, you know, just like out of the blue.
Yeah.
How old is your banjo?
60s.
When's the last time the strings were changed?
Well, not too long ago.
Not too
but
long
it's been a
ago.
while since I've heard that happen. But it just, when Barry talked about the piano, it just kind of brought back the memory. I can remember it happening over the years every once in a while.
So I'm not going to say it's not paranormal, but I do know that like if you have, like, let's say your barometer is at a normal level, and then all of a sudden it drops real hard. The moment you open the door, strings of a guitar or a banjo can pluck.
And it's kind of like the
themselves.
settling
Well,
of
that's if
wood.
you have a big pressure difference, like opening or closing a door. But if you're just laying there in bed at night and you hear something hit the guitar.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah.
No, that's different.
Yeah. And if you're upstairs in a house that's built in 1847, the pressure doesn't ever get a chance to build up because the windows are.
No.
But
it doesn't have to. No, like not the pressure in the house, but I mean like an atmospheric change. Like even a change outside for a house that old, it's going to change inside just as quickly. So that buildup of pressure.
Yes.
That's why a guitar case itself, like a hard case, if you notice they have two small holes on the side that do not allow pressure to build up within the case. That way your guitar does not lose its, the wood doesn't warp as hard while it's going through, like, let's say flying.
Flying, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Just kind of like the settling of the house or the settling of the wooden floors. It's that kind of a thing. The guitars do that as well. A lot of instruments do.
And PBR is in the chat room, and he says the tight strings will release at any time, and you'll hear it. The turn is just let go a slight bit, and you hear that. Just some mundane
possibilities. Not saying that it isn't something else. Just that there is possibilities of something being mundane there.
Or it could have been Bigfoot strumming a guitar.
Or it could have been Tinkerbell going,
right?
Yeah,
it's really funny, the banjo that we have at the hall that has done this before. It has an old sheepskin, and it's from the late 1890s. And
sheepskin head? Wow.
Yeah, and it
That's old.
Yeah, and it has the. It doesn't have. It has wood pegs for the tuning of it, and you push the peg in, and they are normally very loose, so the strings are never tight. So when you hear a wink on it, it's amazing that you go back up to that banjo, hit any string, and never get the same thing that you heard.
What brand is that?
Maybe.
It's an old Silvertone.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Dirty. All right, now we have to go to Kentucky just to see the banjo.
My dad has
you just want to see the rake.
My dad has an 1860s Maybell. He actually found the copy of like a recreation of the copy of the Sears magazine it came from.
Yeah.
Arnold, what's your last question for the night?
I don't have another question for tonight. Those were only two.
Okay. How about you, Ed?
Ed?
Ed? He's looking.
Yeah. So I guess for people who are trying to find out more. So here I am. I'm kind of lost in the weeds a little bit with where I should be looking. I've been listening to the abductions. We talked about frequency, which is pretty interesting. So where should I look next as a novice? Be ready for the next roundtable and everything else. Where should I look next? Kind of do some research because I love that sort of thing. And for those who are doing astrology, we're about to have the second little stellarium, which had a really big effect in 1962. But my thing is, where do I go next? Trying to get myself a real education, try to give myself a lot of choices so I can make better decisions on what I think is happening.
What are you interested in?
So what do you want to research?
Check out the Mandela effect.
Oh, shut up.
No. No. We're not doing Mandela effect. No, that'll be 2022.
Oh, yeah. No, but I'm saying, so I've been following along the conversations and things of that nature. And I guess more or less about the UFO and the UFO material. Is there any good place for a beginner to start out at?
Oh my God!
Really kind of understand.
Look, go on YouTube and look. Just punch in Jim Mars.
Okay.
Jim Mars is a great, and unfortunately he passed from us 2 years ago, I think it was. But he was one of the.
We lost a great man.
He was one of the greats in this field.
Yeah. Ed, do you have Netflix?
Oh, sure.
Okay,
it's not a streaming service I don't have. So
as a beginner with questions, if you want something to expand your question pool a little bit, watch The Universe.
Yeah.
and listen to each of their those scientists' answers, they will actually, because you'll question what they're saying, knowing what you know, just as a beginner, and it'll open up your question pool a little bit wider.
Yeah.
Now, if you're looking for books and you want to learn about the abduction field, I've said it on the show many times, but Dr. David Jacobs' Secret Life with the Alien Abduction is the first book I picked up in 1994. Opened my mind a lot to the Gray Hybrid program. Very eye-opening read. And Linda Moulton Howe. Say again?
Yeah. Ruppelt's book on UFOs is fantastic. It's old. It's in the 40s and 50s.
It's like Kehoe's book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Book. And Project Serpo is on the internet, if you can find it sometimes, and it's got several different things. And if you would read that, it will take you on a trip that you won't soon forget.
Oh no, you want a trip?
Just as an experiment, I was thinking, you're talking about to do something before the next roundtable. We're talking about instruments, and everybody's talking about vibrations and raising your vibrations. I've heard that several people already say that there's musical instruments around them, so I'm hoping that some of you have tuning forks. Now, I've got one, and it's set at 440. That's a C.
Yeah.
And you whack it, you can't hear it, but then you bite it between your teeth, and you can hear that 440 vibration in your head. And I was wondering if maybe we can all try an experiment where you do that and then try to raise your vibration to that vibration, see what happens.
Yeah,
I never thought about it. It's sort of a mechanical device to maybe help you change your vibration levels. It might work. I don't know.
I don't have a tuning
I'm
fork.
gonna try it.
I use a tuning app on my phone. So.
I'm unmusically inclined. Oh,
I don't feel safe raising any kind of vibrations right now.
there's vibration.
But
I gotta say, so
ringing the phone that's not plugged in.
yeah. But Linda Moulton Howe's older books, Illusion of Reality, Volume 1 and 2. It's two different books. And if you want something that'll blow your mind, read those two books. And she goes really into the extreme side of abduction and a lot of other topics.
Terrific. I will do that.
There is some great stuff that is out there, and there's a lot of disinformation also. But that's one of the bad things about the internet. There's so many people that have their job is to do nothing but serve up disinformation.
Oh, absolutely. And again, look for the Disclosure Project, and there's hours of video of the old Disclosure Project that is just based on the credentials of the speakers. Will blow your mind.
Oh yeah.
And that's still on YouTube, last I knew.
So I've seen some of that material because we were talking about Disclosure last time. That's what got me started going down these rabbit holes. Now, mind you, I have very productive rabbit holes in the Fae. Sometime I'll tell you my Sasquatch story because I actually encountered a child Sasquatch years ago. That was my only encounter with it. But it wasn't an adult. You could tell it was actually a child. And it came up to me, and I remember touching. We just touched our fingertips, and then all of a sudden it was gone. Just that fast noise, flash, gone. It was very interesting. I was like 18, 19 years old, out in the woods. And it was very frightening. I remember that. So I've had my encounters, but for me, I guess as a lot of people who practice magical traits tend to ignore the UFOs and the scientific side for some reason. I've discovered, and it's been fascinating to see the differences in those two communities because they have so much in common. They're talking about a lot of the same
Alien
things.
abduction next week.
Yeah, but they don't see it. I don't know what. So I'm trying to figure that out. So I'm in that rabbit hole. So thank you.
Especially when you get into the ancients and some of the old things, because ufology goes back way. When you start talking about the Anakis and all that stuff, it goes way back.
into that era, and it plays a big part through all of our history and our DNA.
Paperclip.
Sure.
I will do that. Thank you very much.
I think so. So Barry, you're coming back next week.
All right.
Next week we're talking. So next week,
I enjoy coming back. I always have the best time.
Next week is
with
nothing
you
but
guys.
paperclip.
You got 1 week. I expect you here in the studio 6:30 next Sunday.
You got it.
Excellent.
So we're going to go into the obviously we're not going to be able to hit every scientist from paperclip in 3 hours because well, there's like over 100 of them. Actually, I think there's like 300 of them. Wasn't there?
All you
It was like 400 or 500, I thought.
Yeah,
it was,
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna dig into Operation Paperclip next week and show all the different project areas they were all working on and why America is where it is today, as far as the atomic program, the psyops, the biological, Plum Island. The list goes on.
Yeah, and even when you get into that way and you talk about a water von Braun, look at how Disney used water von Braun and some of the stuff that was happening with that, because there are some Disney films out there that water von Braun was in about the future and so forth. And it's quite interesting. Most people don't know about it, but it's very interesting.
So what's Into the Fire talking about this week?
This week we have a very special guest. Nick Groff is going to be on, and we're going to see what he's been up to, and we'll talk to him. He's last time I talked with Nick, he's headed into a lot of different things, and should be an interesting talk. So hopefully that will be an interesting segue. And I want to talk about you guys because I've got an opportunity I'd like to do a paranormal roundtable going into the quantum paranormal. And I have a guy that would like to defend his things towards the quantum paranormal versus our view of the paranormal.
Sounds good. Where can our listeners find Into the Fire, by the way?
Into the Fire currently right now is on Parahouse on Facebook, Parahouse TV, and you can see it there. You can also catch it on YouTube. You can catch it several different places. It's archived on my YouTube site, which is no longer existing. We also did the Conspiracy Clan on Friday at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern, or 9 a.m. I'm sorry, 10 p.m., 10 a.m. in the day on the West Coast. And we talk about conspiracy theories and so forth on the show for about an hour and a half. And that we'll see if we can do that this Friday, because this last show got canned. So,
yeah.
And how's Witch School doing, Ed?
We're doing pretty well. We just got our Pagan World project funded through the Indiegogo. It's still continuing. So we're about to build a site for kind of finding local witches, pagans, paranormal, all of that. Kind of replacing the old witch box, if anyone remembers that site.
Right.
It's going to be like a directory for finding all the local witches and pagans. They can do things like hand fasting services or shop services, or house blessing services. So it's going to be interesting. And it takes on different things. It's called pagan.world. And I'm really kind of really pleased with that. Witch School, it continues on. We're going to be doing more classes. And next month, right around the 11th or the 15th, over on Zell is going to be doing the State of the Pagan World. getting him talking about the Aquarian awakening, because you have this whole Aquarian energy going on right now. So it'll be an interesting thing. So the Aquarian stellium, which is supposed to be, if you look at one in 1962, February 4th in 1962, oh my God, it was like this incredibly concentrated amount of energy. And we have one now coming up February 11th. So it's interesting what we expect for that. So that's all around Witch School.
Nice.
Excellent. I still need to get on Witch School and check out your paranormal classes. I'm curious what you guys offer.
Joe.
We actually that's so we want that improved so badly, but it all takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Joe, where can people buy their pointy sticks?
At the moment, you have to make your own. But
come on,
if you want to get hold of me, I'll explain all the difficulties and a couple of helpful hints.
Is there a YouTube video that we can go to?
Oh, but no, stay tuned soon. And you'll find the Master of Pointy Sticks and where you can buy your own.
Yes.
On over at Joe's Stick Shack.
You don't go somewhere to try to find how to make them. The person that knows how to make them will come to you.
Oh.
Okay, that's creepy. That's creepy.
Maybe that kind of Baby Yoda. Baby Joe.
Yeah, my big takeaway from tonight's show is that the next time a UFO lands in my yard, I'm not going to shoot the cannon at it. I'm going to walk up and hit it with a tuning fork, see what happens.
Perfect. All right, so thank you for everyone for coming on January Roundtable. Next week we will talk all thing Operation Paperclip. I've got a lot of work to do. Hopefully the power stays up. We have snow coming in next week. Yeah. It's just,
Who knows what's coming in next
Keep
week?
saying that. Every time you say that, it doesn't happen, so I'm good with this.
Yeah,
Okay,
keep going.
yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't happen. But anyway, thanks for listening. Stay safe out there, and remember, keep your eyes to the skies.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.